The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the hosts and guests may or may not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Miami University.
I am going into my last semester of chemical engineering.
I'm a senior journalism major.
And I'm minoring in supply chain and operations management.
I'm a biochemistry major. Classes are going great. Extracurriculars are going great.
I'm an RA on campus.
I'm thriving.
Hi, I'm Jason Megacy, and this is Major Insight. This is the podcast where we talk college life with amazing students about how to find your place and purpose on campus. Emily Coyne is already a successful YouTuber, entrepreneur, and social media influencer who runs the popular lifestyle, fashion, and digital media company Emily O & Bose. At Miami, Emily is also a senior studying emerging technology in business and design, which is helping her to gain the graphic design, social media marketing, and business skills to take her company to the next level. When she's not sharing parts of her life one vlog at a time, she's also been active on campus with the Student Foundation, in her sorority, and now is a part of Miami's Digital Innovation Program, which gives students experience contributing to thriving startups. We're here with professional YouTuber. Is that a fair thing to say?
Sure.
All right,
I'll
cool.
take that.
Professional YouTuber Emily Coyne, right?
Yes.
All right, Emily, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm glad
Good.
you can come and we could talk for a little bit.
I know. I'm very excited. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. So just to start off, just give us a little background on who you are, where you're from.
Yes. So my name's Emily Coyne. I'm a senior. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and I am excited to, be here today to talk about everything that I've kind of been doing the past couple years, and especially in my college career. I would consider myself a micro-influencer, so I create content on 3 different social media platforms, primarily YouTube, and I create content on Instagram and then TikTok. And additionally, I run my own business where I sell merchandise on my website, and I've released now 4 lines of merchandise. And then I also do social media consulting. So Emily O & Bose is the name of my company, and I like to call it a lifestyle and digital media company. It's kind of how I like to describe it.
For sure. No, that's awesome. A lot of stuff that we can dig into there.
Yes.
For sure. So, I mean, you mentioned the content creation part of it. So when did you start to kind of gain an interest for all that, for YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, things like that?
Yeah, so I would definitely say that this whole thing started really organically, and it started as a passion project and just as a creative outlet. And it began when I was in middle school, super innocently. Honestly, it was just an activity for my mom and I to do together before I would leave for school every morning. She would take my picture on the driveway, and then I would post it after school. And this was before anyone really knew much about Instagram, so she wouldn't let me show my face, which was funny thinking back to it. So I would just very innocently post on Instagram throughout high school, and then I started making these YouTube videos. And again, my parents were like, "What is YouTube?" I had to make a whole PowerPoint presentation and present to them why I could have a YouTube channel. Nice. And so I would make these looking back on it, they were not what influencing is today, but that's how it started. It was little fashion videos, and I would sit in my room and I would do it with my mom. It would just be an activity that we would do together. When I came to college, it was kind of something that I was like, maybe I'll keep doing. And I posted my freshman year dorm video. And that video really kind of took off, and I saw a lot of growth from that on my YouTube channel, which obviously is really fun to see when you produce something and it does really well. So it was super motivating, and then it kind of I kept making videos my freshman, sophomore year. Again, didn't really take it seriously. And I think like most people, once COVID hit, I was like, all right, I have this. What do I want to do with it? Do I want to just continue on, which was great. It was a fun little activity that I would do when I had time. Or do I want to sit down and get serious about this? And I was making money off of my social channels at the time, but it was like a little part-time job. And I just knew the potential that it could be to be able to monetize on all platforms and making this a working business. Yeah. And then in November of 2020, I decided that I've always wanted to run my own business. I love to sell. And in a way, I'm selling myself in my YouTube videos, but I wanted physical products. And so we launched the merchandise part of Emily O & Bose, and it started really small. It was basically just swag, something that you would get at a conference. And it was sweatshirts and mugs and hats. And then from there, the first line did really well, and it was so rewarding and so much fun to get to work on that. And then we just kept releasing lines of merchandise about every 3 months after that. And then with that, the social media channels were growing. TikTok was becoming a lot bigger of a platform, and it was funneling into all of my other social media channels. And then Yeah, that was a really long-winded
No,
answer,
no, no,
so I
definitely.
apologize.
No. Well, congratulations on all
Thank
that
you.
stuff. That's super awesome. But like you said, it sounds like it started out as, this fun thing that, you were just doing. Do you still have fun doing it, or
Oh
is
my
it,
gosh.
like where's the line drawn?
No, it's the most fun thing in the world, and I think about it all the time. Like, I'm so lucky that I started it when I did and that I stuck with it, because there were so many times where I was like, oh, I'm not getting the views, or I'm not making it, it's not worth my time. And I think about it all the time. I'm like, this is what I love to do.
Yeah.
I love doing it. I could do it all day long, and I pretty much do. And so for me, I'll work on it into the night, on the weekends, whenever because what's also really great about this is how much you put into it is exactly what you're going to get out of it, no matter what. If you produce a ton of content, eventually you'll see those numbers and you'll see the followers, and then that translates into sales on merchandise. So knowing that, it's just as much as I put into it, I get out of it. But yeah, I absolutely love doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a line, but I don't know where it is.
So let's back it up then a little bit. What other passions did you kind of have coming through high school before college?
Yeah, so this started for my love of like fashion and just clothes, I guess, as like any young girl. But then it morphed into a lot. Right now, I would say my biggest passion is the marketing and branding behind it, because especially in the digital space, there's so many different ways that you can set yourself apart from other influencers, that you can tell a detailed story, that you can pull followers in. And so now that's kind of become my new obsession, is the marketing and the branding behind it. And then I obviously love photography. I love videography, and I love the relationships behind connecting with all the people that are following along with me. So there's so many different interests that I have that relate kind of all back into it, like home decor, lifestyle, travel, everything like that. Any interest I can wake up with one day, I get to share, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And like a lot of people don't have that, creative outlet that they can, really be themselves and like show themselves in that way. So it's super dope that you're able to do that. But what to you personally, after having, built this established brand, what's been the most difficult part in the whole thing, the whole process?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different parts that I've had to kind of adjust to. And I think maybe something that's not even frustrating, but just a challenge, is if I don't know how to do something, but I know that we need to do it in order to move forward. So it's kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, let's learn how to do this, because I know it's going to help us in X, Y, and Z. And sometimes you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm putting in so much more effort, but they blew up. But I look at it more as I'm building a brand. I'm in it for the long haul. I want this to be around for 30 years. So we're not going to do the same things that other people are doing necessarily. That's kind of how I think of it.
No, and it's definitely got to be hard, because in that space especially, I bet it would be hard not to compare yourself to other people. Is that accurate?
I think so. I think now, my senior year, like I'm 21, almost 22, I'm like, all right, we're just doing our own thing.
Yeah.
But definitely in the beginning, it's like, you see, it's very oversaturated, right? You go on Instagram and you're just overwhelmed with the amount of content that's put out there daily. But what is really great, and what I know now, is that I have such a strong community and loyal followers that enjoy what I'm posting. And so now it's a lot easier to separate that and not compare myself. But I think especially for creators starting off, it is difficult, because you're like, oh, this person has a ton of followers, I'm going to do what they're doing. And it doesn't work like that, because in order for you to have your own followers, you have to have this unique and interesting storyline that people are enthralled by and want to follow along. So knowing that you got to like not stay in your own lane, but like stay in your own lane. That's
do
how you're
your
going to
thing.
be.
Like,
do your thing. Just do your thing, and it eventually people will get behind you and they'll support you. And so now I know that. But definitely in the beginning, comparison is a huge thing.
So now let's get back to like your timeline. Why Miami? What was it about Miami that attracted you to coming here?
Right. So I have two sisters. I have an older sister and a younger sister. And my older sister, Claire, went here, and my younger sister, Elizabeth, is currently a freshman here. So we're a big Miami family. And we are all very similar. We feed off of each other. So I saw Claire doing really well here at Miami, thriving, loving the education she was getting and all the great friends she met. And so obviously that influenced me a lot. I wanted to be with my sister. I wanted to be just like her. She was doing all these great things. It was a good distance from home. So it was the perfect place for me. It was a beautiful campus. My sister was here for my first year to support me, and then just kind of being able to see, where she was 3 years later than I was. It was motivating.
Yeah. Kind of talk to me about what that transition was like for you. Because obviously, at a certain point, she's there for you, right? Your older sister was, but, she can't experience the same things that you're experiencing as a freshman. So what was that transition from high school to college like for you?
Funny enough, it's like my transition from high school to freshman year was different. it wasn't as huge as a transition that I think that it was from my freshman to sophomore year because I still had Claire's her name. So I had Claire to fall back on. I had all of her friends. So I definitely kind of came in with like this like older sister mentality of like I already had this like community of girls who were always going to support me and obviously making new friends in your classes, and that's stressful. So I think the transition from freshman to sophomore year was really pivotal for me and kind of finding my own space, figuring out what I like to do. And I think that's something that I'm trying to give a little bit more to Elizabeth. Like, obviously I'm here for you, but you know, you have to go and I'm not going to be here for the rest of your life.
It's all about doing your own thing.
You have to do your own thing. And yes, exactly.
Yeah. So say your major for me again one more time.
So I am an interactive media studies major. It's now called Emerging Technology Business and Design.
Okay.
And then I'm an entrepreneurship minor.
For those that don't know what that is, explain.
Okay, so interactive media studies is not in the business school. It's in the College of Creative Arts. And I could go on and on about them. It's a great department, but it is a lot of coding, website design, UX, UI, graphic design, social media marketing. I'm trying to think what else. I'm in a robotics class right now. It's really whatever you make of it. So it's digital media, it's technology, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's really interesting and super forward thinking, a lot of innovation in that department. So I have always loved that. And then I added the entrepreneurship minor, obviously, because I have always been interested in starting my own business. So that kind of fell into place perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. And did you know about it coming into school, this major that you're in, or was it something that kind of, came to you as you?
So we did a lot of research about it because Claire was, my older sister was in the business school. She was a supply chain major and she loved it. But I, had these interests in photography and fashion and digital media. So my mom and I, as most do things together. We did a lot of research on it, and we came and toured and met with people and kind of asked them a lot of questions. And at the time, the department and the major was definitely newer, so it was interesting to kind of learn, like, they were getting started, all these new classes, but everyone was really excited about it, and I could feel that. They were like, this is fantastic. So I was really thrilled to be a part of it right away. And freshman year, I loved all my classes. Like, I didn't have an issue of like, I don't know what I should do with my life. Like, I always knew I loved my major, which was really nice.
So, it may speak for itself, but I'd like to hear it from you. How does your major integrate into the things, your major and your minor, how does that integrate into the things that you're doing with your content creation?
Yes, I think that my major has factored in a lot more than my minor right now, just because I've had a lot more time under my belt to experience with IMS. I think that it's just allowed me to have a lot better skills in graphic design. And, that was like everything that we had to learn freshman year. So now being able to do that myself and not have to reach out to somebody is really helpful when I'm launching a new line, and I could just sit down and do it on my own. I learned a good understanding of social media marketing from a business standpoint. I took a lot of courses in that. So yeah, I definitely think that it's influenced me a lot. Or if anything, it's just helped me stay interested in the whole space, because I would go to school, I would learn about all this, and then I would come home and I would work on it as well. So it was really just like I was fully immersed in everything all the time. Yeah.
So is it just you that works on your content, or do you have like a team, or how does that work?
So it's just me and my mom. But
shout out to Mom.
She's amazing. Shout out to Anne. She'll probably listen to this. And then my family obviously is a huge part of my content that I produce. So they are, always involved. My dad's super supportive and very entrepreneurial, so he's been a huge person behind this, just encouraging me to really run with it. And my sisters, we all kind of work together on it as well. So yes, it's definitely a family effort, but I'm the one that's like making the YouTube videos, editing them, posting, stuff like that.
So would you consider yourself an entrepreneur? Would you call yourself that?
I think so.
Yeah?
I would say so. Trying to be, at least.
Yeah, no. So was there a moment when you really were like, okay, I could make something out of this? Like, this is actually something.
Yes, I think that last year when I launched my first line, it was called Busy Brunching. I had a pop-up shop here at Miami.
Okay,
and
word.
I was like, let's just try it. I was like, no one's going to come. This is going to be awful. Like, we're just going to maybe sell a couple sweatshirts. And that day was like the greatest day of my life because so many people came. We sold out of basically everything that we had, and it had just launched. And so seeing that, I was like, okay, like, I know this is on a small scale. This is only on one college campus, but to have that kind of positive feedback from your peers was super motivating for me. And I was like, all right, this is definitely going to work. Yeah. And it might not work right away, but I think eventually it could. So I was able to see that potential, and like that one day I could pinpoint it and be like, all right, we'll get somewhere someday.
Yeah. So back off of the YouTube thing, back onto like the college experience, what other things besides, the content creation are you involved with, especially at Miami?
Yes. So I was part of Student Foundation for freshman through like my junior year. And then obviously very involved, creatively with my sorority, which I loved. And then, I think now it's mostly just been focusing on my business, especially in my senior year, and kind of fully immersing myself in that.
Do you have any teachers or mentors you'd like to shout out right now?
Yes. So next semester, I am really excited because this is like my last semester of going physically into a class and doing homework and stuff, because next semester I'm going to be doing the digital innovation program for the IMS department. Mm-hmm. And so basically, if you like don't know what it is, you can either go to Cincinnati or Luxembourg. And normally what would happen is you would go and intern for a company for 4 out of the 5 days. And then on the 5th day, you would go and do tours with like networking events with different companies and how they can help you. But Mark Lacker, who is in the entrepreneurship department, has been someone who's really kind of been a huge help and come into my life this year. At the beginning of the year, I kind of briefly mentioned like that I had this business, and he just took a look at my website, and then we had this great conversation, and he kind of gave me like this laundry list of things to go and do. He was like, you need to take advantage of all of the resources here. And I think also something that's really important, especially if you're a freshman or a sophomore, that I've learned now is there's so many different cool things that you can do here that they don't necessarily talk about. Yeah. But like my junior year, I did an independent study through the IMS department, and Tim DeMarks told me about it and helped me mentor me the whole way through. And this was during COVID, so I was able to get another class and keep working so much more on my business. So that was really cool. And then Mark Lacker this year was like, I'm in a capstone for my entrepreneurship minor, and the class is basically you come up with a business and then you pitch it to investors at the end of the semester, which in this case is like in 2 weeks. Yeah. So he was like, you need to go back to your professor and say that you have a business, so just pitch that business. Mm-hmm. So I've been given the opportunity to work on it all semester with a team, which is amazing, which is the meeting that I just came from. Yeah. So it's so fun because now I have like 5 people that we get to work on this with, and usually it's just me, so being able to like go and talk about this is really exciting. So that's a huge thing that I was able to do that I wouldn't have even known had he not said something. And then for next semester, I'm doing the digital innovation program, but instead of me working for a company, I am the company. So 4 days out of the week, I will get to work full-time on my business. And then kind of wrapping it into the startup venture. They do like where you pitch in the spring. So then I will go and pitch my business in the spring for investors and just for, resources and mentors and stuff like that. So yeah, that was something that that came this semester. It's my senior year. So I was able to, and that was really cool. He just looked at my website for like 2 seconds and was like, we need to do this. Let's do it. And that's like been the first person I would say who has been like, you have a brand, you got to go for it.
Yeah, I think it's self-explanatory, but what's next for you after May, after you get that piece of paper?
So after I graduate, I am going to try and do this full time. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, try and do the influencing, the merchandise, and then the social media consulting full time, and kind of wrap that all into one. And just hopefully do this for the rest of my life, and we'll see where it takes us. And I'm sure there will be other things that I'll find that I enjoy and kind of, add it in all into one. But that's the plan for right now.
Do you have a dream spot that you'd like to end up in?
Well, the great thing about this is that I can really do this from anywhere as long as I have my computer. I know I've mentioned my family a lot, so I definitely love to be around them because they're a huge support system. So, right after graduation, I'll probably be back in Cleveland. We would, like long term, I would love to have a space, because now just with packaging and the inventory, like we do it all at our house. My mom right now is in our basement packaging stuff for our merchandise.
Shout out to Ann, man. Come on.
She should really be here. But I would love to have a space, like a warehouse, a packaging space, an office. I would love to have just like an event space where people could come to, shoot content, and where I could work with my clients, doing social media consulting, and like having an event space / whole place to just keep all my stuff, essentially. So exactly. That would be, obviously, in like the next 5 or 6 years, another goal of mine is to have offices of some sort.
So you keep touching on this social media consulting gig that you also have going on. Can you just explain that a little bit more for me?
Yeah, so that's something that I kind of started over the summer because I did this full time. But basically what I hope to do is there's been small businesses that have reached out to me before and been like, hey, you have an understanding in social media. Would you help us out in some cases? So I would just, basically run and do strategy for businesses or brands or services. I would run their social media and kind of use Emily Owen Bose and everything that I have created to back up why I would be the best person to hire in this situation. Because there's a lot of people who do social media strategy, but I wouldn't necessarily say that there's a lot of influencers that do social media strategies. And really, they're the best ones to do it because they're doing it themselves. Yep. And so I would love to, especially small businesses, female-run businesses, I would love to, in any way, shape, or form, be involved and help, because I know I would love that for myself at the time to, have had that. So, and that would just be kind of another revenue stream to have to tie this all into more of a digital media company.
Got you. And do you have an overarching vision of what you want Emily Owen Bose to look like when it's not all said and done, but when you've made it to the point that you consider like successful? Not that it isn't successful already, but... No,
yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much more that I want to do. Like, we haven't even tapped into most of what I want to do. And I think kind of looking at this as like a lifestyle brand, like a Goop. I don't know if you've heard of that, or I'm trying to think of another, like Reese Witherspoon is a great example of what I always use. She has her production company. She has Draper James. She is doing the most. So that is something that I really look towards. And, in the next 6 months, hopefully we're going to my mom, my grandma, and I wrote a coffee table book. So that's going to be the next thing that will be coming out. And I would love to release my own line of rosé, call it Bose. Okay. So there's a lot of things that I'm always thinking of that I just can't wait to get the opportunity to do.
So obviously you are much farther in the process of like having an actual established brand than a lot of people. But what would you say to that person who's, they're trying to kickstart this and, they're not seeing the results that they want, but, this is something that they kind of want to pursue?
Absolutely. I think that was me for a long time. I was just doing it for fun, and I didn't necessarily have the numbers. And I think in the beginning I was like, oh, that's cute. And then now it's like, it's definitely more serious. Yeah. I would say just stick with it. If you like to do it, then keep doing it. Like, you're never going to look back and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so mad that I invested in myself. Like, no one's going to say that. Like, invest in yourself, especially right now in my 20s. Like, this is the time to do it. And I do take it seriously. I've always taken it pretty seriously. So I think that that's also key. And then don't get discouraged, because if you're in it for the long haul, you will eventually see results that you want. And then also just I think I wasted a lot of time my freshman and sophomore year being so worried about what everyone else was doing. And then I'm just like, okay, but I like doing this. We're just gonna do it. We just have to get it together and do it.
I think that's like a thing that every college student has to realize. They have to go through that, because I mean, even I went through it. It's such a weird time because you're trying to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life, pretty much, right? And just looking around and you're seeing people moving this way and moving that way, but you just got to really buckle down and focus and say, okay, I can't worry about what they're doing.
No, you really have to just put your head down and be like, I like doing this. I'm going to do it. And if you enjoy following me, follow me. And if not, that's totally fine. And now it's worked out. So I'm very grateful for that. But definitely, if I would say to anybody, just invest in yourself. It's never going to, and if it doesn't work out, at least you tried.
That's what I'm saying. And the point you made about you're 21, right? Right. If you're going to fail, now's the time to do it, right?
Right, and I've learned skills through it that I could apply to a job. Like, I have things to fall back. Obviously, I'm going to have a degree to fall back on. Like, it's not like it was a total waste. Like, I've learned so much throughout this, and I've learned a lot about myself, which sounds very, geez, but it's true. So, yeah, I think just go for it. Who cares?
Yeah. What's the biggest lesson you've learned throughout your experience in college and throughout your experience, building this brand?
I always say this a lot when I am posting stuff. It's just to stay on brand. I know what my brand is. I know what my values of my company are. I know morally what I believe in. Just stick to it, because there's going to be a lot of noise around you. People are going to be moving one way, and if you just stick to what you're good at and stay on brand, then that's a huge lesson that I've learned.
Do you? That's what that is too.
Do you? 100%.
Dig it. I dig it.
Emily Coyne is a senior studying emerging technology in business and design with a minor in entrepreneurship at Miami University. You can learn much more about her lifestyle, fashion, and digital media company at emilyowenbose.com. And thank you for listening to Major Insight. If you enjoyed this podcast, share with your friends or anyone interested in navigating college life. Many more episodes are now available wherever you get your podcasts.